Check. Check. You got the room.
All right, good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the City of Riverside Planning Commission. Could we have roll call, please, Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Denning,
Here.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
Mr. Owens, Mr. Rogers,
Here.
Mr. Vasquez.
All right. Moving on to approval of agenda.
Could we move to excuse?
There's a,
I'll make a motion to excuse the absence of Harold Vasquez and Dave Owens.
I'll second that.
we have a motion and a second to excuse the absence of David Owens and Harold Vasquez. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to approval of agenda. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the September 16th, 2024 meeting minutes. You all should have received those in your packets and had an opportunity to review those. At this time, would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as published.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the September 26th, 2024 meeting minutes as published.
September
Is-
16th.
16th, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to our public hearing. And we ask that anyone who wishing to speak fill out a form that's in the back. And you can pass that to Ms. Holt, which is to my right, to your left at the end. And we will call on you. During the public hearing, if you are speaking, we ask that you step to the podium. Make sure you speak into the mic for the record. State your name, your address, and there's an oath that will be on the podium and on the screen? On the podium, for you to recite prior to speaking. And you will be given 3 minutes, except for the applicant. The applicant is given time to speak on behalf of their project. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. This is PC case number 24-0014. This is the 4740 Linden Avenue. It's a final review of a major site plan for a sports facility for partial ID I-39401-505-0032. Okay. At this time, staff, would you like to give your staff report?
Let me get this up and I will give my report. First, I'll start with the oath. I, Nia Holt, address 5200 Springfield Street, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. So this case is coming back before you because this is the final review of a site plan. You've seen the preliminary application for a sports facility, and now they've gone through the additional review for the Technical Review Committee, and they need final approval from Planning Commission. They're also asking for Planning Commission's final sign-off on the architectural design that is proposed for this project. So just to remind you, this is the project area right here at 4740 Linden, the aerial map, and just moving on to the site plan. You can see the proposed screening And drainage grade here, there is going to be outside courts for the pickleball facility as well as indoor facilities. This is the parking that will come down from this drive. This will be for entering and exiting the site. And we'll move on to something that I know was discussed at the last meeting, which is the basin. So that will take out the majority of the rear of this section. And our engineer has reviewed that. And there has been additional notes to make sure that this basin will be appropriately sized and have the capacity to handle any future development. So this is the elevations for the project. And now moving on to what's really something for you to consider, which is, like I said, the architectural design. Our code calls for earth tone colors and for a base, body, and cap. In order to meet some of that requirement, they have the different gray colors and the stone bottom. So that's what they're doing to kind of meet that architectural design requirements. And then it's up to you to decide if black is earth tone. They have started doing some site preparation because the preliminary plan was approved, and we've done this in the past. So this is the front of the project site, adjacent property to the west, just to give you an idea of the area. There's existing house on another property that is owned by the applicant, but that's just right here. And now you can just see some of the commercial development across the street. Again, the proposed location of the building. There will eventually be 2 buildings for the indoor facility, but right now we're just looking at the one that you saw in the rendering. That parking lot, this is the area that parking lot will go into. And then we're looking, of course, where the outdoor courts are proposed. So staff does find that this final site plan is adequately justified and does meet the standards of approval. We are recommending some conditions. They are in your staff report, but I have summarized them below. One thing that is of note is that we are recommending or that they submit a fee in lieu application to our service department. This has been something that's been discussion on and off throughout this project. I know for a long time, we've been working with this commission on sidewalk requirements and curb and gutter. One thing that our service department has been looking at is a policy when it comes to fee in lieu. And so there are 3 criteria that they have developed. Whether the project is near a recent or a development that, or a project that would be happening soon. So if they have road improvements that are planned, then they would offer that fee in lieu. If there's some site constraints, then they would offer that fee in lieu. Or if the existing infrastructure there just makes it very difficult, whether like the road widths go in and out, for example, that's something that they would offer the fee in lieu. And so this project has met one of those criteria, and the service department felt comfortable continuing those conversations with the applicant, but a formal application will be needed. Any questions about that before I move on?
Could you just explain the fee in lieu?
Yes. So instead of building the curb, gutter, and sidewalk along the frontage, the applicant would be able to pay that cost to the city with inflation rate, and they would work with the applicant on what that cost is and their engineer. And then the city would hold that money and build it at a later date.
Okay.
So it'd be a fee in lieu of building that infrastructure.
And I think this should say 2025, right?
Yes, that's right. So these would be your required actions. Either approve as presented, approve with the conditions is our recommendation, deny the application if you find that it does not meet the standards of approval. And then you're also looking at that architectural design with the project And again, we're recommending approval of that design as presented. We've talked with the applicant about the design, and they have made, like I said, those changes from the original design with that base, body, and cap, and put that stone on the bottom. So we are recommending approval of the design as it's proposed. And those are the other options. Are there any questions at this point?
Okay, so now applicant, David? You're the engineer for the
Yes,
applicant.
I'm the engineer for
Is that how you wanted it to go?
developer. I don't know
Michael?
if Mike.
I'm sorry, I looked down, I saw applicant, then I saw engineer.
Yeah, I'm just
I don't care
here-
who goes first, so.
Just here if staff or council here has any questions as it relates to.
I
the
need you to
engineer.
state
Oh,
your
I'm
name and
sorry.
address. I'm sorry, and take the
I, David
oath.
Marshall, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct and accurate to the best of my knowledge. 3171 Research Boulevard, Kettering, Ohio.
Thank you.
So if there's any questions as it relates to any of the conditions staff has made or the site plan, I'd be glad to answer any of them. One of the conditions was the pond have sufficient capacity. It does have sufficient capacity for this development and then the future phases of the development to contain a 100-year storm without discharging any storm off-site. So there will, that pond will contain all runoff and infiltrate into the ground.
I do believe that it was discussed last time that it's not a design like you see in some areas where the water's going to just sit there. It's made to go back down into the
It's-
ground, correct?
That's right.
Because I know that residents were concerned about mosquitoes and bugs
Right.
and that sort of thing.
The design is such that it will eventually infiltrate into the ground and be dry in between rain events, and that it will not be a permanent pool of water there.
I just wanted that kind of
Yep.
on the record. Okay,
Right.
all right. And this is the owner of the property.
My name is Mike Betancourt, 4740 Linden Avenue. I'm one of the 3 owners of Black Barn Pickleball. And as discussed, we are super excited about this project in the city of Riverside. The site is absolutely perfect for us. Plenty of land, close proximity to 35 and 675, Woodman 75, everything. We had a real productive meeting last time. The meeting actually spilled out into the hallway where we were able to talk to the residents, and then scheduled a second meeting with the residents offsite at the church, and had a great discussion then too, just answering questions. There's a lot of misconceptions and questions, just what's it going to look like, how's it going to be, and so we had a great discussion there, and we were able to meet with the mayor and talk to him a little bit about it, and I really enjoyed working with Riverside on the site itself and then possible future expansion up top as far as infill lots and what businesses could go there and things like that. So I don't know that I have anything else really.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, any questions for the engineer or the applicant?
Actually, did you guys have any objections to the conditions that were proposed?
We did not.
All right, I don't have any residents that wish to speak tonight. So if seeing no other residents that have provided a slip, we will then close a public hearing and go on to discussion among the commissioners. Any thoughts?
Well, I'll make a motion to approve Major site plan for a sports facility in PC case 24-0014 at 4740 Linden Avenue, parcel ID I3940150500032, with the conditions attached to the recommendation from city staff.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve PC case 240014 with the conditions as stated by staff in the staff report. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Hairston?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes, motion carries. You can follow up with Ms. Holt on next steps. Thank you. Okay, and as my room clears out. Okay.
Madam Chair, there actually are two motions embedded into case number 240014. The final site plan was the first motion required to approve of this project. The second motion is for the architectural design as outlined by staff. So I would advise the Planning Commission I know that the applicants have left, but seeing that there was no public testimony and the applicants basically provided all the information that, from a legal perspective, I would advise the commissioners are relevant. I think it's ripe for discussion amongst the commissioners as to whether or not to approve the architectural design and the staff recommendation, which I've reviewed and is legally supported, is to approve the application as initially presented. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
I'll make a motion to approve the architectural review in PC case 24-0014, 4740 Linden Avenue, related to the major site plan for the sports facility, parcel ID I3940150500032, with the conditions as initially presented by staff in the recommendation.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the architectural designs for PC case 240014 with the conditions as stated by staff in their staff report. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Hairston?
Yes.
Mrs. Denny?
Yes, motion carries. All right. So we're waiting on a presenter to come in, Zone Co. We hope they make it before we get through the next couple things. So we're going to, if it's okay with commissioners, we're going to go ahead and move to the development project update, if that's okay. Nobody objects to that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to Ms. Smith and the development projects updates.
Okay. So we're going to go back a little ways because I know you guys haven't gotten an update in a little while about some of the cases that you have seen for development within the city. So I've got some charts and stuff. We're going to go over those cases and then talk about some of the successful ones. So the first one is 600 Spinning. That was denied a conditional use for a gas station in the B1 district. There's still ongoing discussions about what's going to be developed there, so we're still working with a potential developer on that one. 402 Woodman, they were granted the conditional approval for a conditional use to change the use to perform service and repair on motorcycles. They have had some violations that have since been closed. However, their building occupancy permit with the county has expired. Take 5 is open, and there are some pictures later that we will look at. They got their building permits on July 11th last year, and you guys saw them on April 17th. So pretty good turnaround on that one. Safe and Sound Moving, you denied a rezoning from R3 to I1, and they have since moved to Dayton, so there's no further details available about their business. Champion, they came to you on June 21st last year and were granted a conditional approval for a landscaping business in I1. They had their fire inspection done by Dayton for one of the parcels, so there were some jurisdictional confusions there. But they have not had the fire inspection for the inner city parcel, nor have we received any zoning permit applications because they have not finished and/or applied for approval on their site plan. Our Public Service Department and County Soil and Water have been in contact with them about coming into compliance with the codes and regulations. A lot of their violations are in regards to stormwater and source water protection area regulations. A recent development with that one is a source water protection program plan and compliance plan must be submitted to our service department by December 15th.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
if that is not, if they do not become compliant or provide those, that information, what are next steps?
So we have already fined them for noncompliance once, so those will be continued.
Thank
I'm
you.
not sure what steps the county soil and water would take, but I'm sure those would be escalated as well.
Okay, thank you.
Redwood came to you in July of last year, and they got a conditional approval for their final PUD plan. Their development team has since paused that project for now as they're reevaluating their plan to make sure that it is going to be successful. 2518 Valley Street had conditional approval for vehicle repair and sales. As far as we know, they are not open. They applied for a building permit in August of last year, and they have withdrawn a commercial electrical permit, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. They do have some outstanding violations with our zoning code for outdoor storage and trash.
That's the business that has one across the street and purchased the building,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah. Squad Auto Sales, they were denied a conditional use to add auto repair in the B2 zoning
Just a minute,
district.
Ms. Smith, what? That's the tire.
They can resubmit for the same conditional use on November 21st of this year, and they have some ongoing violations for parking cars for sale in the public right-of-way. Air
Which one was
dispense.
that? That's the Squad Auto,
Squad Auto Sales. That one is on Airway.
the Airway.
Yes, on the corner
Yes.
of Airway and Meyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Air dispensary, they are up and running. There's another current picture that will be later on. They did receive their building permits. They actually got those before they came to you for the waiver, the design waiver to allow for alternative color schemes. Their medical marijuana facility registration is to be renewed in January, and they also offer adult cannabis sales. 4766 Airway, they came to you in February of this year and got a conditional approval for auto sales in the B2 district. They are not yet open, but they have received a building permit just a month after they came to you. As far as we know, there are no other known updates. MSD came to you for a site plan with a parking waiver, which was conditionally approved. And they are currently doing construction on their new building. There's an update photo also on that one. And they have applied for their new construction building permit, which requires ongoing inspections from our building regulations at the county. U-Haul came and was denied a major waiver for an accessory structure in the front yard, the open wall canopy. and they filed for an appeal. The BZA denied that appeal, so the original ruling on that stands. Project Riverside had their fire inspection completed. It was deemed they did not need a building permit, and they are up and running. The urban agriculture text went to council, and they decided to reevaluate that along with the UDO rewrite that is ongoing. So ZoneCo will take a look at that language and give recommendation. And then Glendine Point came in August of this year, and their development agreement was approved by council on October 17th. They have submitted a CRA application, which is currently under review. And you approved their modification to that site plan. And then these are just some updated photos. There's Take 5 with their grand opening signs. Air dispensary, that's the colors that they asked for a waiver for. And then that is the ongoing construction at MSD. They were actively working on that today. That's it. Are there any questions?
Questions for Ms. Smith?
Just a comment, the information's really good. We've asked for this for a long time, to have some updates so we could kind of see what happens after we see it, so that's great. The only suggestion I would have is on some of the ones that are named by property or development, to have the street address would be helpful, because
Okay.
sometimes I think we're more familiar with the street address than we
Yeah.
are with the name of the
Okay.
development or project.
Yeah.
Yes, very helpful, and
Next
Like
time
you
there will be
said.
addresses.
no, that's fine. And like Mr. Rogers said, we've been trying to get to this point for a very, very long time, so thank you very much for bringing that in. It's nice to see what we do and where it ends up, you know. So, thank you very much. Anything, Mr. Hairston? Okay. All right.
There is one thing I do want to share. So it is that time of year where we start to think about 2025. So I have put together the calendar of meetings for next year. I know that's not on the agenda, but it is something I was like, oh, that is that time. So that is before you, and if there's anything that needs to be changed before we move forward with this, please let me know. You will see that there has been some changes. In previous years, I have put your calendar and the Board of Zoning calendar together. I have separated those. I think this has a cleaner and more readable look and design for people coming to submit applications to our city. There's clearer notes on there of what our expectations are. So if there's any additional comments or changes that you have, let me know, and I'll have those ready before the November meeting, if there is one.
I think, I assume that January and February meetings are on Wednesdays, like.
Yes, they
we've
are.
done in the past
I
because of the
did
holidays.
account for Martin Luther King Day and President's Day per usual. We did not have to worry about Juneteenth next year like we did this year.
So we're coming on St. Patrick's Day. That might not be a good one.
If you want to
And
make that change, just
historically,
let
we
me
have
know.
changed that back 7 years ago. We,
Oh, do you want to
we've
make that
changed,
change?
we have
Okay.
changed it. I don't care anymore.
But
I
those
used
are
to,
things
but,
that-
but,
I
That's
mean,
why
I
I
would kind of
bring it
like
before
to
you.
not be here on St. Patrick's Day.
so
Okay.
let's look at
So you want
that.
to do the Wednesday of that week instead?
I
or
think
do
we
you wanna
have
move it up?
determined Wednesday is the best
Okay,
for most. So that'd be on the 19th then,
okay,
correct?
yes.
Somebody looking at a calendar. But yeah, historically, even though it's been 7 years ago, we have, I think I remember twice we've actually done that. I've been on long enough that we've moved it twice off of Monday.
Are there any other changes?
I have to go through my calendar.
Okay.
I don't think, historically, those are the three main ones. Okay. Well, we'll just go to kind of matters of commissioners, and if our presenter shows up, we'll go back. So let's, Ms. Holt, do you have anything else?
That is all I have.
Okay. Ms. Smith?
Nope, nothing else.
Mr. Roush?
No, ma'am. Impeccable work, as always.
Mr. Miller? I wanted his Mr. Miller?
I've answered to a lot worse, so no worries. No, nothing to add, Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity.
Madam Clerk?
It's okay, nothing.
Mrs. Lomatch?
I have nothing to say. I came to make sure we get pickleball.
Mr. Harris?
I'm tired of looking at that empty lot.
I think you're getting pickleball. Mr. Hairston?
I have nothing. I got a cool pin today from one of the great city managers in the state of Ohio. And so with that, I publicly say thank you. He knows who he is. I'm not going to say any names. And the updates that everybody gave were amazing. It's good, like they all said already, but to reiterate as we come to a close, thank you for those updates. And I know you'll put addresses on them, but stick with the pictures. I'm kindergarten in my ways, and I love to see a good picture. Tells me a lot more.
Would it be better to go through and do like an individual slide with like all of that information instead of on a chart?
I would like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever format you would prefer to see, I can do that.
I would love like a picture book with the
Okay.
picture and then the detail. That would be amazing.
Okay.
I like
I can
it.
do that.
And I'm serious. I'd like that.
That can happen.
And that is all from me.
Mr. Rogers?
I have nothing this evening.
I agree with Mr. Hairston that some pictures would be nice, because I think it's sometimes, well, hopefully we won't be going back as far going forward, so that'll be a little easier, but sometimes trying to figure out, like I'm in my head going, okay, is that the right address? Am I thinking of the right part, the right property and that? So I think that would be amazing. And I think it would give our residents at home also a better understanding of what we're talking about and things that's happened and the improvements that the city area is going through, as well as things that, we've denied to keep our city looking a certain way and to stay with our plans and stuff. So I think that would be very helpful. I think the one thing, I've been trying to figure out how to do this, so I'm just going to be just straightforward with it. It is my understanding, and I'm going to say it that way because, is that as we come up as commissioners for review in front of council, they are looking a lot more at our attendance and things like that. So I'm just going to throw that out there publicly. We haven't had a chance. We were supposed to talk about that a little bit at our training, and we didn't really get to that we had. So I wanted to throw that out so that everybody's aware and there's no, surprises that if you're called in by council or something and you're asked questions and that about attendance, everybody's aware and upfront. I just don't want any surprises with that. I don't know that we have a huge issue, but, I just don't want anyone to be surprised by that. I know we were just talking about training again. And I hope everyone that was able to attend to find it very beneficial. I know we talked about it last meeting too, but I keep referencing back and I just see some great things on the horizon, and some of the ideas that came out of that is going to be phenomenal. And I think that's shown in Ms. Smith's report where BZA, because they've also learned more. They've talked with Planning Commission as well about why we made the decisions we made. And so it's the continuity going from group to group, I think is just going to continue to get better and better. So I'm really happy with how that's all come about. With that, I don't know how to stall any longer.
Well, we can just, table it to the next meeting.
Okay, all right. Do we need a motion?
No.
Law Director, okay.
No, that's a staff discussion topic, so staff can just put it on the next
Okay,
agenda.
all
Thank
right.
you, Madam Chair.
Okay, awesome.
I did not mean to usurp your duties.
So, seeing that there's no more items in front of this commission, I will adjourn this meeting.
All right. 7:07.
On the shortest ever.
I'm sorry?
Thank you guys for serving. And you guys are here all the time.
Oh, listen, this is amazing.